home, work, spouse. They load them on you like a hunchback. Come on, come on, come on. It's not over. You have to keep going, constantly pushing these things aside and coming here. This is only for those whom Allah has favored. May Allah, the Mighty and Majestic, never cut off our spiritual sustenance. But it's something very precious. I mean, outside, people are leaving this world in a huge crowd without even knowing where they're running to. It's something very painful, really painful. There is something expected of you for the sake of eternity. And you have no idea about it. What does that mean? You have no idea about it, but you have the world in your hands. What does that even mean? Now, if someone came today, put a gun to your head and threatened you, you'd say, don't take me, take my possessions. Isn't that right? But Azrael, peace be upon him, leaves your possessions and takes you away. Isn't that like a joke? You leave everything behind and go, where to? To eternity? Oh, was that what it was all about? Let me go back and fix it. But that's not possible either. It's over. The film will only be shot once. That's why in the end times, to push aside all this allure and come here is truly something very precious. May my Lord never cut off our spiritual sustenance. Even more valuable than that is to be able to die in this state. Because faith is not just a momentary blessing. The name of the process, even the finale, is faith. That's why we need to finish the match without throwing in the towel. What does it mean to throw in the towel? I mean, we're speaking politely to the side that looks at us, but throwing in the towel in reality, from the perspective of the truth, doesn't it mean that Allah, the Mighty and Majestic, has tossed you aside like a rag? A person should spend their life striving to resemble those companions who are like stars. The companions are like stars. Whichever of them you follow, you will be guided. He says, my companions are like stars. Whichever one you hold on to, you will attain salvation. Doesn't he? My goodness. So it's very important. May Allah grant us the ability to finish the match like this as well. For that, we need energy too. I'm not saying these things metaphorically. I mean it in the truest sense. Our soul needs nourishment. The spiritual life we call spirituality. Can you sustain your physical life without eating? It's impossible. If you don't eat for 3 days, you won't even be able to get up. Do we also need the same kind of nourishment for our spiritual life? And how is it needed? This is exactly what the 23rd word series, which we are continuing, is about. Knowledge should be processed in this way anyway. A series should be processed systematically. Isn't that how they taught it at school? Did the teacher come into first grade and teach derivatives and integrals and then teach addition and subtraction in second grade? Has anything like that ever happened? It hasn't, has it? Should knowledge be processed systematically? That's how it is, right? And the Quran is the highest of all knowledge. What we need is the highest form of knowledge, the knowledge of knowing Allah, marifatullah. So shouldn't we process it in this way as well? But when we look at it with an attitude of what difference does it make if it happens or not, we are unaware of what's really going on. The 23rd word is an indescribable work that delicately explores the relationship between man and faith. The 23rd word in the Risal-i-Nur. Of course, the issue of faith is thought to be the most well-known topic in society, but in reality, it is the least understood. So unfortunately, it has no place in our minds when we try to address it. Unfortunately, it has no place. Try listing all the restaurants and you'll see they have a place. List all the outings and you'll see they have a place too. But if you try to list faith, it doesn't exist. Let's keep fooling ourselves. My God, is this how the companions' minds were, being neighbors to the Prophet? The 23rd word is a very valuable work. We have covered the first 3 lessons of it. Today is the 4th lesson. Our keyword is Tekamul. It means perfection, evolution. Kamal comes from that too, doesn't it? Now let me go through this step by step, okay? And let's understand the matter. I guess our lesson's keyword is clear now. I'd like to explain the lesson directly with a single sentence at the beginning though. But the lesson we're going to cover is so indescribable. Truly, it's specifically for you. I mean, not for the neighbors or anyone else. It's directly for me, for myself. A lesson this important regarding faith, it's probably quite rare. An indescribable lesson. So exactly, why was I sent here? What am I supposed to do? These wounds of mine, my helplessness, my ignorance, right? What is it all for? I mean, aren't we like babies, really? We are sent here ignorant. We are sent here helpless. People ask, don't they? Like, oh Lord, just send me, and God forbid, I'll take care of all my needs myself. But this lesson explains the reason behind all the wounds I have, all the wounds. What is the wound of helplessness for? What is the wound of poverty for? What is the wound of deficiency for? What is the wound of ignorance for? What is the wound of the heart for? What is the wound of separation for? What is the wound of incompleteness for? Truly, this is a lesson that explains all of this. I mean, I am really amazed. And also to study these lessons deeply and to work through them together. This is the most important point. This is the most important issue. It's so important. I can't even express how crucial it is to try to understand the sentences and words here. So shall we slowly get started then? You remember the word tekamul. Kamil, mature, perfect. Tekamül means to develop. Step by step, is that correct? Tekamül is to develop gradually, step by step. Let me give an example. A person's development is a lifelong process. Is that correct? Evolution. Code from Kamil. Reaching perfection. Step by step. Tekamül. Step by step. But what was our keyword for today? Evolution. It doesn't mean step by step, it means direct perfection. Its most mature state. The state it is supposed to be. Let me give another example. He is a scholar who has evolved in his knowledge. In other words, he is a person who has attained maturity. Tekamül, some is step by step. Tekemül is directly matured. Does Kemal come from here? Kemal comes from here, right? It comes from Tekemül. What happens then, Kemal? It is the highest rank, degree, or level that something can reach. Kemal, perfect. So code it like this, but it will stick. Let's repeat. Kemal, perfect, perfect. Kemal, evolution. Perfect, perfect. Kemal, Kemal, in evolution. Did it get even more confusing? Did it make sense in your mind? Would you like me to go over the concepts again? Our main concept today is tekamül. It means the highest rank or degree that can be reached. In other words, it means perfect. Completeness, perfect. Code it like that. Does Kemal also come from here? Kemal also means the highest level attained. Look, at this person, he has reached perfection. In other words, it means that person has reached the highest rank. Allah the Almighty and Majestic gives perfection to every creature. What is the perfection of the seed? To become a tree and bear fruit. Is that correct? See, that's its kemal, its most perfect state. So what is the perfection of the egg? To become a peacock. To display 2,000 colors on its feathers, right? What is the kemal of a caterpillar? To become a butterfly. Allah the Almighty has given perfection to everything. And He has also given a tendency towards that kemal. Are you aware of this? You could invite all the documentaries you've watched today to this lesson. That's how it is, isn't it? Has He given an inclination? For example, look at the caterpillar. There is an inclination for it to enter the cocoon. There is an inclination for it to reach perfection, to mature, and for the butterfly to emerge from the cocoon. Remember the seed. The perfection of the seed is the process of bearing fruit. How does it happen? From the moment it falls into the soil, a movement begins. Is that correct? It cracks open, sprouts, becomes a sapling, branches appear, leaves emerge, and it blossoms. There you go. Then it bears fruit. Allah, the Mighty and Majestic, allows it to reach its perfection until it arrives at the point. He wishes to see it. Does everything in existence have an inclination toward its own perfection? Yes, it does. Did we understand this? We understand all of existence has an inclination toward its own perfection. Now, we said all of existence. So what does all of existence include? Let me broaden your perspective a bit. I'd like to talk a little about what kinds of species exist and how many of each there are. In existence, there are 6,500 species of mammals. By species, I mean this kind. Birds, 10,800 species. Reptiles, 12,000 species. Look, all of these are inclined toward their own perfection. All of them. Amphibians, that is frogs and salamanders. There are 8,000 species of these. Fish, 35,000, 40,000 species. Crustaceans, 70,000, 80,000 defined species. And they estimate about 150,000 in total. This is just the number of species. Mollusks, 85,000 defined species. And they estimate around 200,000 species in total. Look at all these creatures. Worms, 17,000 species. Spiders, 50,000 species. Spiders. Insects, 1 million defined species. And they estimate between 3 and 5 million species in total. Insects. Reptiles, 8,500 species. Corals and jellyfish, 10,000 species. Starfish and sea urchins, 7,000 species. If we kept going, could we continue? We walk? Were all of these sent to the world in a perfect state? Yes, 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 yes. Here is the turning point of the lesson. Were all of them sent to the world in a perfect state? Look, all of them were sent perfectly. Does a bee know what to do as soon as it is born or not? Does a worm know or not? Does a praying mantis know or not? Does a seahorse know or not? Does a jellyfish know or not? Does a chick know or not? You understood the number of species that were just mentioned as being sent into existence, right? All species have been sent to the world, fully developed. Look at this situation. Has all of creation been sent to the world, fully developed? They have been sent fully developed. Have they all learned what they were created for? Is there any worm that goes to college? Is there a horse around you that says, let me learn how to run? Is there a lion around you that says, let me learn how to use my claws? Has all of creation been sent perfectly? They have been sent. Which one needs to mature? Which one needs to learn something? None of them. This is the worship of all of them, all of creation. Do you remember the number of species I mentioned earlier? You remember? Has all of creation been sent into the world in a perfect way? They have been sent. Now, we put an axolotl in our aquarium, right? Are we teaching it how to breathe, what to eat, how to behave? Is there anyone teaching it these things? You don't do anything. They all come perfectly, having already learned everything. Now please pay attention to these sentences. Creation did not come into the world to learn a job. It did not come to improve itself. It only came to work. Look now. Is the point becoming a bit clearer? You understood the word Kemal, right? So it turns out the word Kemal is for creation. Were they all sent perfectly? All of them were sent perfectly. Do you have any dogs? I mean, do you ever have to teach a dog to do this or that? No. Do you have to teach a cat to meow like a cat? No. Is there anyone who teaches a chicken how to lay eggs? No. Is there anyone who teaches a rooster? Like, you need to crow like this, cock-a-doodle-doo. All creatures have been sent into the world perfectly. I need to read this part again. It's one of the most important sections of the lesson. None of them came here to learn a job. They didn't come to improve themselves. All creatures came into the world just to work. Is that right? That's the example we give, isn't it? We say works like a bee or as hardworking as an ant. Now let's look at humans. Were humans sent in the same way? No, no. Are humans in need of learning everything? In need. Are they ignorant of the rules? They are ignorant. Sometimes they can't even learn about life in 20 years, right? Goodness gracious. So it means that all other creatures were sent perfectly. They don't have the duty to acquire knowledge. But my duty is to learn and to develop. So why are we here? Aren't we here to learn knowledge and reach perfection? Look, an animal's only duty is to work. Is it programmed into them? Loaded. Is my duty like that? Was I sent here fully programmed? Then why do I spend years trying to understand why I was created? Isn't that right? Do you know any cat that goes into such a depression? Should we have been sparrows? Do you know any ant or chick that goes into such a depression? It's impossible. Why is it impossible? All of them were sent perfectly. They were sent only to work. But humans are tasked with learning and progressing. That is, I will acquire knowledge, and then I will reach maturity. Is that correct? Even for an 80-year-old, the world is still a place to learn, right? You turn 80 and still learn new things. What do you say? He says, I've gained another year of experience. We have a contractor friend who is in his 50s. He also has a partner from Van. Now with all the construction, the municipality and so on, the process has really worn them out. His partner from Van said this. He said, we've gotten really tired. We've been through a lot, but look, we've gained new experiences. Our friend said, I don't want to gain any more experience. I want to make money now, he said. Now, a bee knows how to make its honey in 2 days. But here we are, reaching 50 and still learning. How is this going to work? Look at how old we've gotten. Can we handle the things we need on our own yet? We can't, for example, there's this thing called being a doctor. Why? Because I can't fix my own shortcomings. Does a horse have such a need? There's something called a body repairman. I can't take care of my own work. There are pharmacists. I mean, only by coming together can we meet our needs. I don't have the ease that a sparrow has. Why don't I have the comfort that a perfectly created ant has? Why was it sent so perfectly? Even to put on a tire, we need each other. Do you understand the differences? All beings are sent with the most perfect programs loaded within them. They don't need to learn anything. But what about me? I reached the age of 20. I reached the age of 50 and still, I say, I need this life experience. So it means that animals don't get an education. They don't progress. Do they have such a need? They don't have this need. Now imagine if a horse had to be educated. You're going to conquer Andalusia. What do you need? You need a horse. You look, and only 3 or 5 horses have learned how to run. You say, what happened to them? They say, well, the horses say, let me finish my education first. I'll decide what I want to be after that. Now, you can't go to conquer like this. You can't ride a horse, nor can you tie one up. Since its duty is to serve, it has been sent in a perfect way. Is that right? Is there ever such a thing? Well, I preferred swimming. Now, we have people like that too, right? The ones who talk about golf and such. Where have you ever seen golf in the neighborhood, right? There are people among us who do these strange sports, aren't there? But is there anything like that in a horse? Instead of running, we actually prefer swimming more, and so on. Think of a whale in the same way. The whale is crawling on land. What are you doing? I'm going to improve myself by crawling. It's my life philosophy. You never see things like this. Because it was sent to serve, it was sent perfectly. Are you and I like this? We are not like this. Think of a cow. Imagine it has developed itself, that it has been given consciousness. Suppose it says, what kind of cowhood is this? We've stayed in the barn for years. It's time to build a villa now. Comfort is my right, it says. So what happens to the milk? There goes our brother Ibrahim's farm. What happened? That's gone too. Think of a chicken. After years of laying oval eggs, now it's time for square eggs. Is that so? What would we do now? Well, do you see what's going on here? Is the point of the lesson clear now? All of creation was sent perfectly, with its program already installed. Each one has been fulfilling the duty assigned to it for centuries, and within that duty, a certain pleasure has been given to them. If you lock a horse in a stable, even if the floor is made of gold, it won't be happy. But if you let it run free in the meadows, it will be happy. So pleasure has been attached to its duty, right? A vulture eats carrion. To it, it's like the Iskandar kebab you and I eat. Isn't that so? God hasn't made it perceive smells the way we do. So he didn't give off that disgusting smell. Instead, he made it perceive a different aroma, like Iskandar in that situation. Why? Because pleasure has been attached to its duty, hasn't it? That's why it keeps circling around its prey. An ant takes pleasure in its duty. A fish takes pleasure in its duty. If you lock a bird in a golden cage, it won't be happy. But if you let it soar into the sky, doesn't the world belong to it? Why has pleasure been added to their duties as well? All beings have been sent into the world in a state of perfection, that is, in a complete form. Except for one, except for humans. All beings have been sent in a perfect way. Is the lesson clear up to this point? How can a person be both helpless and ignorant? How are humans both powerless and ignorant? A bee sitting in the corner of the hive crying, oh, I don't know how to make honey. They're all perfect. Isn't that so? Oh, there's no snake saying, oh, I don't know how to inject venom. There's no fish crying, oh, I never learned how to swim while traveling in the ocean. But we had a friend, an acquaintance. He got stressed when it was time to get his driver's license. He cried, I don't think I'll ever learn to drive. Do you know how old he is? A man in his 20s. He cried, I guess I'll never be able to learn how to drive a car. You can learn with knowledge, step by step. Start with a wheelbarrow if you have to, and gradually, step by step, you'll learn and improve. But when you look at creation, everything is perfect. Was he sent to his duty? Sent. Within creation, there is another group that was sent not to know God, but to fulfill the duty given to them in this world, the disbelievers. Isn't that very interesting? Just now, I only talked about those who fulfill their duties. Look, the 17th lemma, 6th note. Are you paying attention to the sentences? Here are the harmful disbelievers and the depraved ones who follow the path of the disbelievers. Two groups, here you go, disbelievers and the depraved. They are a kind of malignant beings among God's animals, whom the wise Creator has created for the cultivation of the world. There isn't a single contract in the world you haven't entered. They give you awards every day, but you never recognize God. See, this group is that group. At every meeting you boast, saying, we developed these places, we built these places, we constructed these places. But you do not recognize God. Did you understand how harsh that sentence is? Would you like me to read it again? It's an incredible sentence. So there is another group tasked with developing the world. The disbelievers, the immoral ones. It's unbelievable. So the harmful disbelievers and the immoral ones who follow in their path are a kind of wicked beings among God's creatures, whom the wise Creator has created for the development of the world. Let them develop telephones, improve washing machines, make better cars, build the houses we will live in, and do other things. If someone is doing these things without knowing God, this is the group being referred to make his faithful servants aware of the degrees of blessings he has granted them. He uses these people as a standard of comparison and, in the end, delivers them to the hell they deserve. Isn't that an incredible statement? My goodness. Now, in people whose commanding soul, the nafs al-ammara, has developed, those whose souls urge them toward evil, there is a much greater attachment to the world. No matter what you give, they're never satisfied. Are they? Their stomach may be full, but their eyes are never satisfied. What were they created for? For the development of the world. Build these things in Ankara, those things in Istanbul, others in Germany, gardens and vineyards here and there, but never come to know Allah. The place you end up in becomes a very distressing place. We were not created for this. We were not created to work day and night, just to expand our worldly life The duty of working day and night was given to animals. We were not created to work day and night solely, to grow our worldly possessions. I will read another passage. The 21st word, fifth warning. Your primary duty is not to toil like an animal. Isn't that quite a heavy statement? Rather, it is to strive for a true, everlasting life as a true human being. In other words, we were not sent to this world just to keep carrying water to the same mill, grow the shop, make it one size bigger, grow it, make it one size bigger, grow it, make it one size bigger. So are you saying that Muslims should remain poor in this world? No, that's not what I'm saying. First and foremost, you must make knowing Allah in the matter of faith an indispensable foundation. After that, if He grants it, you can expand your worldly affairs. If your worldly pursuits keep growing before the matter of faith is firmly established in you, then the area in which you are being employed is something else entirely. Now let's make a comparison. Put it on the scale. Is your knowledge greater or is your worldly wealth greater? Is it in this world or is it in knowledge? Go ahead. It's a heavy matter, but this will be useful for us. Is your rank in this world or in knowledge? Go ahead. Isn't this it? Isn't this what is being said? Just imagine how painful it is. You arrive in the hereafter. Now in this world, they've always given you special awards. They've called you up and so on. You think, I've accomplished such great things. But what you did, Allah will destroy it on the day of judgment anyway. You think you're important because of the applause you received. But when you get there, your real duty was just what was written for you. How can that be, you ask? Everyone applauded us. No, that's not it. We used you for the construction of the world. Did you come to know Allah? No. No faith, no knowledge of Allah either. Now the thing that puts us at risk here isn't the word disbelievers, but rather the word wretches, who follow them. That's what puts us at risk. Inshallah, may we not depart this life without faith. The duty of constant work is not for you or me. Go ahead, it's for the animals. And just a moment ago, we mentioned another group as well. It has been given to the disbelievers and the wretches. Now let me give a few examples about this matter of perfection so we can broaden our understanding. How perfectly Allah, the Mighty and Majestic, has created the animals. Really, just listen to the lesson for yourself. Never, never, never forget. It, like me. You are going to listen to the lesson. You will leave here and be judged in the grave, all right? You will open your scale and see your condition in this world. Then there are these matters too. Let's listen to all this just for ourselves. Forget it, left or right, doesn't matter. Let's focus on ourselves in this regard. So, regarding the matter of perfection, about being sent into the world with a perfectly loaded program, I want to give the example of the bee to help open our minds a bit more. The way we collect honey has changed over the years, right? But for 50 million years, the way the bee produces honey has not changed. However, their ancestor Adam did it. They do it the same way. In other words, however their ancestors produced honey years ago, the bee itself produces honey in exactly the same way. These bees have a lifespan of about 1 month in the summer. Male bees live for 6 months. The amount of honey Big Pak Banda bee produces in its entire lifetime is 1/10 of a teaspoon. So, for just 1 teaspoon of honey, 10 bees have to work their whole lives. Now, I guess you'd put a spoon in my hand here. And if I put honey here, they'd say we're advertising. Like 5 jars of honey. To produce 1 kilogram of honey, like 40,000 bees need to fly 240,000 kilometers. Does anyone remember how many kilometers the circumference of the earth is? 40,000 kilometers. Very good. So, for 1 kilogram of honey, it's like circling the earth 6 times. For 1 kilogram of honey, 6 million flowers are visited. 1 kilogram of honey. If we gathered the same number of people, could we do such a thing? So it means it was sent perfectly. Did you understand perfection? Look, it was sent with its program inside. An original honey can remain suitable to eat in nature for 2,000 years. Now, how did this poisonous insect bug learn to extract the nectar from the flower? Interesting. And to make us understand that the giver is not the bee itself, it stings us when we touch it. Isn't that right? If the bee were the giver, it wouldn't try to poison us. Goodness gracious. It's unbelievable. Now, one day I explained this bee and honey issue to someone. Then I said, how does this bee make honey? He said, by instinct. What is instinct? I said. He said, it's what makes the bee produce honey. Explaining one unknown with another unknown. Now think about it. You go to a city. You ask, where's the city hall? They say, it's under the post office. Then you ask, where's the post office? They say, it's above the city hall. So it's like explaining one unknown with another unknown. Now there is such a perfect work here, isn't there? Look, there are friends here who have achieved great things on a global scale. There are factory owners, engineers, doctors, traders, steelworkers, and healthcare professionals. I mean, there are people here who have built factories. There are electrical engineers. Come on, this honey. It just doesn't work like that. And you just call this instinct. If you ask what instinct is, it's something that makes unconscious beings do conscious things. Well, is the animal even aware of this action? No. So, is this logical? Science will explain it in the future. So then, what is it that makes the bee produce honey? The Lord inspired the bee. What is it that makes the bee produce honey? It's Lord inspired the bee. Well, it's an incredible thing. So it means the bee was sent into the world having evolved with its program already, inspired to it. Is that understood? Understood. So this verse tells us that the bee cannot make honey on its own. It was inspired, evolved, and then sent. Inspiration means that Allah, the Mighty and Majestic, speaks to hearts. Today, all beings, how have they been equipped with this perfect program? Go ahead. It has been instilled through inspiration. Today, Allah, the Mighty and Majestic, speaks to our hearts through inspiration. But when we express that communication in words, we use the Turkish language that we know. In the 12th word, this inspiration is described as follows. For example, the simplest and most basic form is the inspiration given to animals. What is the simplest form of inspiration? The bird, the bee, honey, this is the smallest form of inspiration. Then comes the inspiration given to ordinary people of the era. SubhanAllah, then to humans. Then the common people are inspired by the angels. Then comes the inspiration given to the saints. Then comes the inspiration given to the great angels. Very interesting. A pigeon goes out in the morning, spending the whole day searching for its sustenance. Does it find and bring it back to the nest? It does find and bring it back. So how does Allah communicate with them? How does He make them find their sustenance? Through inspiration. Through inspiration. When they get sick, how do they know which herb will help them? They find it through inspiration. Is this inspiration that applies to bees also valid for humans? It is valid. So, the most perfect way Allah speaks to humans is through the Quran. What is the most perfect form of Allah addressing and speaking to us? The Quran is the most perfect, and His speaking to the prophets is also the most perfect. That is revelation. Did you understand that very well? So is there a range from the simplest inspiration to revelation? There is a range. What is He looking at? On the openness of our hearts. So, as our hearts open with fairness, as they are not tainted by sins, as our tongues and hearts are not corrupted by this damned gossip, gossip is a disease of the heart. It destroys it. It makes the heart explode like a bomb. As long as we are not tainted, in this way, inspirations that guide us to the right path can also come to our hearts. Look, for example, this man has been coming from Germany for 10 years. He doesn't even pass by the other door. He goes to another place in the back. So what happens now? Why did he come? Why did he come, I mean? Now, there's something strange here, isn't there? Let me continue explaining about the bee. Is it clear? A honeybee visits 20,000 flowers a day. A single honeybee. This is how it makes honey. If it had the mercy to give me honey, would it visit 20,000 flowers and give it away for free? And would it sting with its stinger? It doesn't sting. While visiting flowers, pollen sticks to the bee's body, especially its legs. Then the bee. If a flower of the same kind is a rose, it is a rose. And if it is a hyacinth, it is a hyacinth. It lands on different individuals of the same type of flower. And what had stuck to its legs? Dust had stuck to it. So what does it do this way? It pollinates all those plants. In other words, it's actually the bee that carries out their pollination. If the bee lands on a rose, first, it won't visit any other type of flower until all the roses nearby are finished. If it did, the pollen would be carried to different species, and pollination wouldn't occur. Isn't that incredible? I mean, how do you know about this duty? Look, even if we learn and try to do it ourselves, would we still mix things up? We might mix them up, but the bee doesn't. So was it sent after evolving? No, the bee was sent perfectly. G. The bee has 5 eyes. It has 2 large compound eyes and 3 small simple eyes. Thanks to this, it can see ultraviolet and beyond. It maps out the nectar of flowers using ultraviolet, akku, and beyond. Thanks to this, it knows exactly which types it should visit. Also, as the bee moves around, it carries a positive charge. The flower has a negative charge. When it touches the flower, a charge exchange occurs. Another bee receives the message while flying. The necessary things have already been taken from this flower. Pollination has been completed. It says, I shouldn't touch this one. Isn't that perfect? It's perfect. Has it received this training? It has. G. Now listen closely to this part. I just talked about the fish. Now, the hive. We have highly educated friends among us. Is that right? If we were to do something mathematical, see this black mouse pad in front of me. If I started drawing hexagons in various places on this mouse pad. By the way, I graduated from the mathematics department, as you know. Mathematics is a tough field. Abstract mathematics, topologies, these are very advanced subjects. So, with all that knowledge, if I started drawing hexagons from different spots on this mouse pad, could I then connect those hexagons in the middle and say, wow, I drew a perfect hexagon? It's impossible. Even people who solve puzzles couldn't do this, right? Well, what if this time I brought along a few more friends, like our Professor Mehmet, who has a PhD, and some other friends, and we started from 4 or 5 different spots. One starts here, another there, another over there. I started from here. We started from 4 corners. We're drawing the hexagons. In the end, when we meet at the same spot, could we possibly draw those hexagons here perfectly? It's impossible. Today, tell a bricklayer, master, you start from there, I'll start from here. The wall will come out crooked. Tell 3 mothers, moms, you start from there and knit me a sweater. You could wear socks, but you couldn't wear the sweater. Isn't that right? That's exactly how bees build their honeycombs. 0.1 millimeter. They start from various points. They tilt the comb at a 13-degree angle in the hive, and even though they start from different places, when they finally meet, there isn't a single gap left. And the drawing I just described is 2-dimensional. The hexagons in the honeycomb are 3-dimensional. It's even stranger. When the bees building the comb leave for another task, and another bee takes their place, it's as if the same program has been loaded. There's not the slightest mistake. Look, let's have 10 people lay bricks like this down below. And let's talk. Let's explain things to each other. Let's persuade each other. Can we meet in the middle? What a perfect thing. A perfect thing. A perfect thing. It's unbelievable. Very interesting. How can a bee, which can't even get out of the window I open when it gets into the car, do something like this? It's unbelievable. So why do they make hexagons? Make squares, make triangles? This was answered by mathematician Thomas Hales in 1999. If you want to create the largest area with the least material, that is maximum efficiency with minimum material, the shape you should use is, here you go, the hexagon. Each angle will be exactly 120 degrees. It's the same with honeycombs. What would happen if we made squares or triangles? You would use way too much beeswax. Unnecessarily. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Goodness gracious. So why do they build it at a 13-degree tilt? There are also angle calculations involved. They build those honeycombs inside the hive at a 13-degree tilt. The honey doesn't flow downward, it stays inside the cell. But for this calculation, you need to know not just geometry, but also fluid physics. You also have to calculate the center of mass. Where are we right now? We're inside the hive. Shall I continue a bit more? The hexagonal honeycomb is done. For the young bees to come to life in that hive, the hive needs to stay at 35 degrees. Otherwise, the larvae won't survive. Now, first we need to ask, how do you even know it's supposed to be 35 degrees? Let's say you do know, but how do you manage to keep it at 35 degrees? It's not like the temperature outside is always the same. When it's cold outside, they vibrate, with their wings on the ground. And when it's hot outside, they hold their wings up and fan them like a propeller. This time they use their wings to cool things down. So they either heat up by vibrating or cool down with their wings like a fan. When a hornet attacks the hive to eat the larvae and other bees, there's actually a documentary about this, and I think you'd benefit from watching it. In that case, they heat the hive up to 37 degrees and burn the hornet. If it were 38 degrees, they would burn themselves too. So where did you come up with this biological air conditioner? You only live for 2 weeks, maybe a month anyway. Why don't you just enjoy yourself? Is this what your life is for? Is that so? Work for the first 2 weeks, sell your honey, then spend the next 2 weeks cruising around in your Lamborghini. What business do you have with all this? It's been sent perfectly. Perfect. It never strays from its duty, not even for a moment. Not even for a moment. So where are we right now again? We're in the hive. Is it necessary to keep this hive clean? It is. Vebi abi, if a place with such biological activity isn't clean, will it produce bacteria? Absolutely. Could there be life there? Impossible. The bacteria would take over. Now in the hive, they drag out the dead bees to prevent bacteria from forming inside. But sometimes there are large masses and they can't drag them out. So they mummify them with propolis to prevent bacteria from forming inside the hive. It goes to the flower. The flower has a sticky resin. It chews the resin with its lower jaw. It also releases its own mouth fluid onto the resin in its lower jaw. It makes propolis. There is a small pouch on its leg. It puts the propolis into the pouch on its leg. Then it flies off from there. It enters the hive. It mummifies that area with propolis and eliminates the bacteria problem. This is the bee. In other words, has it been sent in a perfect way or not? Do you understand its perfection? The bee. And all creatures have been sent in such a perfect way. And there is also the queen bee in the hive. Who is that? The queen bee mates. Only once in her lifetime stores sperm there and can lay up to 2,000 eggs a day. The mere existence of the queen bee, her presence, is enough. With the pheromones she secretes, she maintains order in the colony. If the queen bee didn't ensure this, there would be chaos in the colony. Where did she learn to secrete this? Let's say you learned that. But where do you produce it? What chemistry lab do you have? I saw you. You were flying in the air. It's just unbelievable. So now, if we go into another topic, are we supposed to believe these things are just coincidences or something? That it all just happened on its own? Is that it? I mean, does that make any sense at all? Anyway, let me stick to my topic. Was it sent in a perfect way? It was sent in a perfect way. Let me give one more example so the topic really settles in. We gave an example of the bee, which is in the air. Now let's give an example from the land, the chicken. Did the bee example make sense? Isn't it perfection? Was it sent in a perfect way? It was sent having reached its perfection. It's at the highest level. Yes, exactly that meaning. Shall we examine the chicken a bit too? Now, when you look at the chicken, you see that there is no chicken. That improves itself. Our ancestors laid oval eggs. So isn't it time to move on to square or rectangular ones? You all are laughing. Have you ever eaten a square egg? Huh? There's no such thing, right? Well, I don't know. Mehmet, did you eat one in Qatar or something? I don't believe it. Really? Do they have it in Qatar? I don't know. You're messing with our heads. Look, you're going to undermine the lesson. Don't do that. A chicken is sent in perfect condition, right? It's not even aware of what it's doing. We look at the egg and are amazed. We wonder how this protein powerhouse, this 6-gram protein source, can be so perfect. The chicken also turns and looks like something came out. But what is this? I mean, it's not even aware of what it's done. It doesn't know either. It's been programmed and sent on its duty so perfectly that it's not even aware of it. A chicken sits on its eggs for 21 days. It keeps the egg constantly at 37.5 degrees. Why? How strange. It's obvious that it was taught somewhere else. Otherwise, how would it know about 37.5 degrees? Do chicks usually hatch on the 21st day? They do. They hatch at the same time, every time. It's as if they have a biological clock. Is this a coincidence or a divine schedule? It's so interesting. Very interesting. When the hen is brooding, she doesn't turn the egg on the 1st and 21st days. On all the other days, she turns the egg so that protein accumulates evenly and no sediment forms. Because for the chick to develop inside the egg, the protein needs to be distributed evenly in various places, right? It does. You need a translator for this. She doesn't turn it on the first day. At that point, the protein isn't at a level where it would form sediment. She doesn't turn it on the 21st day either. By then, there's no danger of protein sediment because there's already a chick inside. On the 21st day, the egg cracks open. The chick, which breathes from that air sac, emerges. I wonder who taught her this. I mean, how does this chicken learn? In 6 months, something that a human couldn't do in 6 years? Is there any human who can incubate eggs and hatch chicks? Regrettably, I have to say, there is. Recently, someone managed to do it. The chicken gathered duck eggs and sat on them. Then, they provided the necessary warmth. So, when it forgot its own duty, it took on someone else's. That's how it is, really. The animal was sent into this world to work. And when a human can't figure out what to do, let me repeat what I just said. Have you ever seen a chicken with psychological issues crying because it needs to fly? But are there people with psychological issues who try to do a chicken's job and forget their own duty? There is. Recently, someone did just that. Will they even take that on now? Who knows how they'll do it? God knows best. A chicken's digestion has 2 parts. The first is the glandular stomach. There, it secretes enzymes. The second, go ahead. Gizzard. Very good. So first is the glandular stomach. It secretes enzymes. The second is the gizzard. Why does it have that? Because the chicken doesn't have teeth. How else would it grind up the food it eats? It can't grind it. The chicken picks up small stones. It swallows them from the ground and brings them to the gizzard. The part we call the gizzard is a muscular section. The food that enters there is squeezed by those muscles, just like wheat is ground in a mill. The food that enters the gizzard is mechanically digested together with the stones, so that it can pass through the intestines. It's unbelievable. So, has a chicken been created perfectly? Shipped perfectly. G. If everything can reach perfection, can a human not reach perfection? They can. But their perfection is programmed and given to them from the start. Human perfection. Yes, isn't that so? It depends on two things. How does a human reach perfection? Through knowledge and prayer. How does a human reach perfection? Through knowledge and prayer. These are the two key words of this lesson. We called it perfection at the highest level. So, how does a person attain perfection? We need to discuss this. Has all of creation been sent into existence perfectly? Sent. Is it the same for humans? No. A person needs to do something in order to reach perfection. What does a person need? Knowledge and prayer. At times, we will also refer to this knowledge as faith. Don't get confused. We can also say faith and prayer. We can also say knowledge and prayer. This is the main topic of the lesson. Why did Allah create humans ignorant? Because He expects humans to learn the knowledge of knowing Allah. Why did Allah create humans surrounded by weaknesses? Because He expects prayer and servitude from them. Look, these are like a key and a lock. Unlike bees, we were not sent into the world already equipped with the knowledge of what we need to do. We were sent ignorant. Why? Because Allah expects us to seek knowledge of Him. We were not sent like lions, perfectly equipped with everything needed for our duties. We were sent weak. Why? Because Allah expects prayer and servitude from us. If we were not expected to know Allah, these wounds of ignorance would not have been opened within us, since such a thing is not expected from animals. They are not ignorant. How so? Isn't it perfect? Is there any ignorant animal? Do all of them know exactly what they need to do? They know it perfectly. The conditions of their lives were instilled in them before they were sent. We were sent without having those conditions instilled in us. Now, two things were necessary for our perfection. First, knowledge. Two, prayer. Let's first look at the aspect of knowledge. What do we need first for our perfection? We need knowledge. A tiny seed. Is a forest hidden inside it? Yes. Well, if a person doesn't know this, would they throw that seed away? They would throw it away. So, in order to know that a forest is hidden inside a seed, first, very importantly, knowledge is needed. Do you understand? And the knowledge I'm talking about will soon be revealed as revelation. A person must realize that they are not just an animal as they appear from the outside. Here, as you know, I am not using the word animal as an insult, God forbid. I mean eating, drinking, lust, and so on. These are merely animalistic traits. So the animal within us eats, drinks, sleeps, seeks pleasure, and so forth. It does these things. I mean it. Is a human being just an animal, as seen from the outside? No. There are seeds within a human being. If you awaken these seeds, there is infinite perfection. Look, look, look. If a person cannot discover themselves, if they do not know the seeds within them in terms of knowledge, they will use themselves at the level of an animal. Their life will continue in this way. They become like someone who throws their seeds into the trash. If that person does not know about the forest inside the seed, what would they do? They would throw it in the trash. If you don't know about the forest inside an apricot seed, you just crack it open and eat it. You break it with your teeth and think that's all there is to it. What happens if you use a racehorse like a milk cart horse? After a while, it turns into a milk cart horse, right? You stifle all the abilities of the horse. You put a bit in its mouth, a halter on its head, and a saddle on its back. What happened then? The racehorse became a milk cart horse. Home, yeah, work, kids, entertainment, yeah, I need to go to the mall. I need to get this job too. Saying I need to build one more building, we got caught up in the world. Then what happened? One day someone said, faith, I no longer have time to deal with these matters. What happened to the thoroughbred? It became a milk cart horse. It forgot every goal except worldly ones and wasted away. Isn't this what happens outside? This is exactly what happens. Your primary purpose for being sent is knowledge and prayer. This is your profession, your true profession. The professions you practice in the world are permissible, but this profession is obligatory. You came with knowledge and prayer. You have to learn and develop these. Your seeds, your kernels, there is a hidden forest inside them. If you die before making them sprout, you will be no different from a seed thrown in the trash. How interesting! Shall we move on to the second one? A person's program was not sent pre-installed. That's why two things are necessary for a person to reach perfection. First, knowledge. Did we understand knowledge? We understand. Two, prayer. But what does prayer have to do with it now? Look, let's talk about that too. Seeds grow and reach perfection through prayer. Imagine a seed underground. Do you know how it prays? My God, within my intention lies a great tree. Is that really its intention? But I don't have the ability to make this happen. I have neither the strength nor the power. I have no sun, no clouds, no rain. God accepts its prayer. He gathers all the necessary causes around it. And the seed's prayer is answered, allowing its potential to emerge. It begins to grow and flourish. It turns into a 600-year-old plane tree, just like the one in Bursa. Is that right? That's right. So have we discovered ourselves through knowledge? We discovered, what did we say? My God, I'm not just this visible body. I ate, I drank, I slept, I traveled. That is not all. Oh, I am. You have planted seeds in my soul. Subtleties, spiritual organs. How many did you plant, oh Lord? He planted as many as his own names. So do I need to cultivate them? Yes, I do. I understood this through knowledge. Secondly, what else do I need? I need prayer. I raised my hands and said, there is a seed of eternity within me, O Lord. There are abilities within me that can address my Lord. But I have not been able to rise above my animal nature. I am still preoccupied with the petty matters of this world. Those are the things that both bring me down and make me happy. I said, I don't have the strength to awaken the seeds within my soul, the intention deep in my heart. With Allah's grace, awaken the seed of my heart. It revolved around causes. A mysterious door opened. It said, come on in. Is that what happened? Did you understand what happened? Hasn't it been like this for all of us? Didn't a mysterious hand say, come on in and throw us through this door? Look, there are friends here who have known each other for over 10 years. He's sitting in a cafe with his friend. They go to the register to pay the bill. At the register, his friend has the card in his hand. His friend says, hey, there's a talk at a place tonight. I'm going to go there. Well, I'll come too, he says. But his friend doesn't come. The one next to him ends up going instead. Didn't a mysterious hand almost say, go on in? Hasn't all of our lives turned out like this? We're surprised, aren't we? How does this even happen? So many people come by the door. But look, there are people here who have moved from different cities, just so that the seed within me awakens with these lessons. So first we became aware of a knowledge. 2, prayer. Unless you pray with the humility of your helplessness, this door will not open for you. With that prayer, Allah the Mighty and Majestic surrounds you with all the means. And as a result of that sincere prayer, He lets you in through the door. Ask anyone who serves. Everyone has such a burning in their heart. Recently in Istanbul, you know our friends have public lessons on Saturdays. Our friends collect phone numbers from those who attend those lessons if they want to give them. He says, let us send you a message on the days of the gatherings. Months ago, someone came and gave his number to our friend, but then he didn't come to the lessons. That day, our friend thought, let me call this brother so he can come to the lesson too. He called and said, brother, there's a lesson today. I wanted to remind you. But the man's voice sounded very strange on the phone. The man was in shock. He said, oh, okay, I'll come. They hung up the phone. Burak was sick that day, really sick. Fatih Unal told him, it's okay, you should still give the lesson. What will you talk about? Despair? Hopelessness? He said to go up. If he says he takes it out, the man was just about to take his own life. God forbid. At that moment, when our friend called him, the man was shocked. He told this himself after the class. When the call came, he thought, this must be a divine message. He said, let me go to this class, then I'll kill myself. May God protect everyone 1,000 times over. And in the class, the topic was despair. You know, saying you can't fall into hopelessness. You have to trust in God. He said, what am I doing? He said, he gave up, may God protect us 1,000 times. He went out and told our friends, this is how it was. A phone call. And the brother who called him is actually the kind of friend who usually forgets to call people. He saw it on his phone, you know, and this friend had left his number. He said, let me call him. I mean, can something like this even happen? Can something this mysterious exist? It's amazing. So knowledge and prayer are what lead things to this point. Do we understand now? How will we walk towards our perfection? 1, science. Second, with prayer. Now, this is the most important issue for a person. Is everyone obliged to walk towards their perfection? You are obliged. That's it. This is the part we don't know. Yunus, you just came from Marash, right? We're just talking. I mean, we are human. Yunus, will you come? I will come. Will you read? Of course. I'll read. Yunus, you don't need these. You're already obliged. Like a bee. No, like a chicken. Just like all other creatures. A human is obliged to walk towards their perfection. So, on a journey where you don't know the address, where will you end up? You can't reach anywhere? You're running after your own ego. and you think this is perfection. What most of us don't know is that you weren't sent here just to build up the world. You are so obliged to walk towards your perfection through knowledge and prayer in the spiritual sense that you will be questioned about this in the hereafter. On the day of judgment, you might lose the test like this. It's unbelievable. The person is obliged to walk towards their own perfection, to discover it. Now look, for years there was something in the life of the Honorable Master that really surprised me. I said, "Oh Master, if the Master, may Allah have mercy on him, the great scholar of the world, were to write a commentary using a different classical method, he would write one of the finest ever produced. If he were to write about the lives of the companions, he would write one of the best. Isn't that so? If he were to write a biography of the Prophet, it would be among the finest." While writing the 19th letter, he had 304 or 307 hadiths memorized, all the way down to their chains of narrators. He dictated 10 or 11 of them. In other words, he had far more memorized than that. That's how many he dictated, and he didn't have a single reference book with him. It's almost unbelievable that something like this could have been dictated in a work like the 19th letter in Miracles of Ahmad. I'm telling you, if you wrote the Prophet's biography, you'd write it best, or maybe that's just the lie we tell ourselves to feel better. You know that lie. Let me improve my life, stand by you, and provide financial support. Even if you did that, you would do it in the best possible way. In fact, the East is given to you as its preacher. They say, Sheikh, let us give you the salary attached to your biography, to your work on the Prophet's life. All of this has been offered to you on a silver platter. Even in your youth, your friends were pashas. You used to socialize with pashas. Even at a young age, governors hosted you in their mansions when you were just a child. Yet you left all of that behind to write the Risale-i-Nur. Why? Because the highest level of ability he was endowed with was to write the Risale-i-Nur, and the Master discovered that. That was his perfection. I hope it's not inappropriate if I put it in jargon. We can understand, right? No comparison or analogy intended. That was the way to earn the most reward for the hereafter. That's how I put it. I hope it won't be misunderstood. Because their concern isn't even a longing for paradise. They are people who are burning with the desire to please Allah. I'm saying this so that we can understand. In other words, you will earn the most reward for the hereafter when you reach your perfection. Otherwise, just send the Ramadan package. You have no knowledge of the Quran, no knowledge of the Prophet's life, no knowledge of anything. Or maybe you have memorized these, and there is arrogance in the position you have reached. What arrogance, really? If they threw us out of here, we'd be nothing but rags. You have no prayers, no sense of helplessness. You're burning up with self-admiration. These things won't save you. You have to reach perfection. We had a contractor here. For years, he built in the back streets. One day, he built a construction on the corner with a shopping mall underneath. Suddenly, he shot to the top. So does that mean he found his perfection? From that day on, he finds his perfection. Aren't there so many football players like that? They devote their youth for years. Then they make it onto a team. They start earning money they never earned before. Did he find Kamal? He has. Now look, my friend, how are we going to seek the perfection of a path? We don't even know yet. That's another question too. Are we obliged to find our own perfection? We have to. For this, first, you have to acquire knowledge. Second, you have to burn with helplessness, praying, "Oh Allah, please let me finish this match." But we have a sin called self-sufficiency. Like, it's fine if it happens, it's fine if it doesn't. Well, if God wills, he gives. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But you have no effort, no struggle. We have fallen into this sin. We've been consumed by it. We are obliged to find our own perfection. Sam, is this understood? If we leave this world without opening our inner faculties, without opening the seeds from the packet, whether God admits us to his paradise or not, I can't say, God forbid, but mathematically what we need to understand is that you won't be able to experience the highest pleasures in that paradise. If I bring my baby at home, would he be able to taste the flavor of this kebab, this tantuni? Because the taste bud seed hasn't developed yet. Isn't that right? If we gave your little child at home a Mercedes or an Audi, would he be able to experience the full pleasure of driving it? Can't take it. His seed hasn't developed. Give him a toy car, he doesn't even know how to drive it. In the same way, God forbid, we might go there without being able to experience the highest pleasures there. You have to unlock these seeds, bring them to their full potential. For years, people who didn't want to take responsibility had a common slogan. They'd say, "You're dealing with this 15-acre campus. If only someone would come and finish it all at once." It's not an issue for many people, but it's a no-brainer. God will not send such a person. God's intention here is to measure our loyalty and sincerity. Will we bring our abilities to perfection or not? God wants to see this in us here. Now, go ahead and improve your hotel, but don't develop this place. Go ahead, work on the hotel's exterior, do its construction, but don't work on this place, my friend. I'll keep explaining this to myself and to you until I die. But whether you do it or not is up to you. You won't be able to improve. It's impossible. You can't improve. Let's talk sports. Anyone here have a sports background? Like Aaron. There are many friends. Bench press. How to develop your trapezius. How to develop your head. How to develop your quadriceps. But let's not go down to the gym. Is it, developing at every moment? Is your seed awakening? Is the muscle group developing? So how is this supposed to develop? In this knowledge and prayer matter, you shouldn't forget about practical prayer either. So it turns out that a person's sincerity is shown not by verbal prayer, but by practical prayer. The Master says in the Risale Nur that plowing the field is like knocking on the door of the treasury of mercy. Plowing the field. You know, they dig up the soil, turning it over so the seeds can do better, and you buy the highest quality fertilizer. Why? Is it the fertilizer that gives it that taste? Does a fragrant apple come out of filthy manure? You are proving your sincerity to Allah. Go ahead, stay hungry. Prayer alone is not sincere. There are 3 aspects of prayer mentioned in the Quran. First, verbal prayer bin Quran. Second, prayer through action. Third, desperate prayer, a burning of the heart. The combination of these 3 is what is called prayer. Do you understand? You must reach perfection. My friend, you have reached perfection in your worldly profession. There are no unfinished projects left. But when it comes to matters of the hereafter, either we don't understand this part or we just can't figure it out. Send your Ramadan enthusiasm. Tear it up. In your worldly affairs, you visit 40 plots of land. But here you look down from above. We just can't get it. When it comes to yourself, you find the best. But when it comes to this, don't just look at that curtain, okay? Go out and do marketing, persuade everyone. Is it okay to explain the truth and faith to the people who come here? How will that ability develop then? Honestly, there are very few things I fear more than dying before the seeds are even taken out of their packet, you know? Because you won't be able to taste its pleasure. It's unbelievable, really. It's unbelievable. The greatest waste in life is not the bread wasted on the table. It's not the waste of water. No, it's not about how you got into that car, whether it was 3 people or 5. That's not the waste. It's not the waste of the house. It's not the waste of a shirt. The greatest waste is not here. The greatest waste in life is the waste of your abilities and talents. The greatest waste is in a factory. Think about your factory. You think about it too, Hussein. Think about your factory. If you don't send the waste to recycling, it's a waste, isn't it? It's wasteful. If you pay someone a salary without making them work, that's waste. It's wasteful. That's right. If you throw away a working machine in your factory, that's waste. It's wasteful. But if you throw away the finished product, you've thrown away the entire factory. That would be the greatest waste. Do you understand? The others are minor wastes. But look, the whole universe is working like a factory just so you can produce a product. If you throw away the product, you're throwing away the factory as well. Isn't this the real waste? This is the real waste. Wasting bread. Wasting water. Compared to this, these are minor wastes. If you waste and ruin your own life and abilities, wasting that product means wasting the entire factory. Do you understand what I mean? How important this is, really, how important. What did you do? You ruined your abilities in the name of earning a living. You wasted not only yourself, but also the entire factory that serves your life. Look, in R.E.D.I.T, there is a sentence describing the Master. It's like a will, please. Would you listen to this sentence? You know, the word waste is often used together with the word economy. Economy means to use something according to its purpose. If you use something according to its purpose, even if you use gold, it is not considered waste. Please listen to this. The Master, this remarkable ability in economy. Yep. How is his sense of economy? Incredible. Not just with simple things like eating, drinking, and dressing. He called these simple. On the contrary, he is a genius who measures it by not wasting or squandering intangible and abstract values, such as thought, mind, talent, ability, time, life, self, and even breath. How so? Isn't it incredible? My goodness. Oh, yes. How does a person reach perfection? We were sent for this duty, weren't we? Now, if a sheep eats meat, has it reached perfection? It has. You look at a sheep in terms of its meat, but we are not sheep, so that people should look at our age or our bodies. That means the more a person has developed those subtle faculties and spiritual organs we just mentioned, the more seeds they have awakened, the more they have increased their share in the divine names, the more they have attained perfection. Do you know what the term good character means? It is called good character. When the names of Allah are manifested as lived qualities in a servant, Allah is merciful. His servant to be Abdur Rahim, servant of merciful, correct? Allah is generous. He wants to see His servant as Abdul Karim, servant of the generous as well. Allah is Al-Qudus, pure. He wants to see His servant pure, both materially and spiritually. Allah is compassionate. He wants to see His servant compassionate. Allah is generous. He wants to see His servant generous. Allah is just. He wants to see His servant just. Whoever brings these seeds to blossom at the highest potential. Do we have an example before us? There you have it, companions. Their seeds have blossomed. Do you understand? Whoever blossoms at the highest level, that person has reached perfection. A father wants to see his child on the same team. Likewise, Allah wants to see us adorned with His own names. If a person says, well, I have made this effort, did Allah accept me as His servant? How will I know this? Look, a factory owner doesn't keep anyone in his factory if he doesn't employ them. Is that right? He lets them have their tea and then sends them away. Are you part of this cause? Yes, that means you've been hired. Do you understand? The most honorable matter. In the 11th ray, 7th matter, it says that perhaps by progressing towards eternity and being refined through continuity, it very strongly proves that they were created to enter into an eternal duty, with the capacity for an eternal duty. We have been created for a duty. This is called the eternal duty. The soul's duty is not to busy itself with work and tasks, or but in this world, but to serve eternity. Allah has created the soul prepared for eternity. It will develop its abilities by passing through this world and become a friend to eternity. Is Allah infinitely generous? Generous meaning the possessor of generosity. Then is a recipient needed for Him to bestow His generosity? Yes, it is needed. If He is infinitely generous, then His generosity is also infinite. Well, if the generosity is infinite, then the recipient must also be infinite. So Allah will include those who develop their souls among the ranks of eternity. Look at the purpose for which we were sent. Allah is taking eternal friends for Himself. Who are they? Those who develop their soul. So what does He give them? What are their signs? He gives them a passion for service. He makes them like ducks searching for water. I watched today, and when ducklings hatch from their eggs, they run to the sea like crazy. Hey, how do you even know about water? How do you know how to swim? Exactly like that. Just like a duck searching for water, Allah won't let that person rest until he finds the water. Pay attention to those who have that sign. Whoever struggles for Allah like the companions did will say, I felt suffocated in the world, but here I can breathe. Gee, if someone were to say now, what duty? What are you talking about? I came to this world for pleasure, and here you are, insisting on duty and going on about it. If you came for pleasure, then you shouldn't have to die. Isn't that right? Isn't it obvious that you didn't come here for pleasure? You don't even have as much pleasure as a sparrow. A sparrow eats 8 times its body weight. It mates with its partner 40 times. In cold or hot weather, it doesn't take off its feathers. Excuse me for saying this, but it even uses rose water on its face. When it relieves itself, it does so in the air and stays completely clean. But we have to change our socks, change our shirts, one for the morning, another for the evening. Brush your teeth, oh my tooth hurts, get it treated, get your hair cut, wash your face, wake up in the morning, eat your meal. And again, excuse me, but even though you eat delicious food, what comes out is waste. Can something like this even be possible? Were you sent to this world for this? You were not sent to this world for that. You were never sent here for pleasure. If you had been sent for pleasure, you shouldn't have to die. The 25th treatise, third remedy. It is evident that humans did not come to this world to enjoy themselves and seek pleasure. Note as those who constantly arrive also constantly depart. The young grow old, and everything is perpetually caught up in loss and separation. Just look at the situation. I set up a perfect table. I invited you, Akif. And right over there, there's a gallows. Just as you're about to start eating, what is that gallows doing there? It doesn't matter. Just finish your meal and then we'll hang you. Can a person get any taste out of those hazelnuts and peanuts? Is it possible? It's not possible. A person may fit into a 2-bedroom apartment physically, but their soul remains unsatisfied. He buys a place in Mersin, but wants Bodrum. He gets Bodrum, then heads to Dubai. He's bought shares in a project on Mars. He's never satisfied, never full. The man owns land in countries he's never visited. He's never full or satisfied. His soul isn't. Whatever you do, he'll keep being unsatisfied. Because in our nature, there's a desire to be filled with 1,000 stars all at once. Does that ever happen in this world? It doesn't happen. So why are you doing it then? You're using the abilities given for the hereafter. In this world, wasting them here, and then you'll have to answer for it in the hereafter. That's a very heavy price to pay. I explained this at the beginning of the lesson. Many of the things I've explained on the Ihsan will actually appear in the sentences from the Risale-i-Nur now. But I wanted to give a comfortable overview at the beginning. That's why I made the introduction long. Now, as we go through the sentences, we'll say, look, we already explained this part, and we'll put each piece in its place. That's why I wanted to show the big picture at the start. It's an incredibly important lesson, and you can't just contemplate it abstractly, you have to take it personally. I mean, who would take such a risk? You've gone to the afterlife without developing yourself, without awakening your seeds. And now you're at the day of judgment. But I was a very talented person. I used all my abilities in construction, in painting and decorating. You used all of them in investments. So what will happen when it comes to the afterlife? Won't this be said to us? Do you think it won't be said? This really is an incredibly important lesson. Hassan, please, let's begin. Bismihi subhanahu, the 23rd word. First section. Fourth point, faith makes a human truly human. It might even make a human a sultan. Now the sentences seem simple, but in fact they are a bit challenging. When it says makes a sultan, sultanhood here refers to a spiritual rank. It is talking about a rank here. Alvar Efe also always used to say, may Allah make us truly human. The famous Alvar Efe from Erzurum. As I said, the sentence seems simple, but it's actually a bit complex. Let's continue. Therefore, the primary duty of a human is faith and prayer. I mentioned this just a moment ago. I said that sometimes we say knowledge, sometimes faith. In other words, the point is knowledge and prayer. The duties we perform in this world are permissible. Your work as a doctor, your engineering, your business activities. These are permissible, but the part referred to as the primary duty, faith and prayer, is the obligatory part. Now let's put this on the scale. Are these as high quality as the worldly work we do? Go ahead. Is that level of quality there? I mean, is it so deeply ingrained in our minds? Has it melted so thoroughly in the crucible of our hearts, in the crucible of faith within our hearts? Now we need to question these aspects. In fact, these are the things that trouble us. Go ahead, continue. Unbelief turns a person into a very helpless beast. Now, we need to read this sentence again from the beginning. As I said, even though it seems simple, there is a depth to it. Because faith is what makes a person truly human. The first question we ask is, am I not a human being? Does it happen or not? So, shall we read that sentence from the beginning again? After all, every week, we memorize either a sentence from the Risale-i-Nur or hadiths or verses. This was our memorization for this week. Do you remember? Can we all recite it together? Faith makes a person truly human. It may even make a person a king. Therefore, a person's primary duty is faith and prayer. Unbelief turns a person into a very helpless beast. Honestly, mashallah, I congratulate you all. Yes, Hassan, let's start from the beginning again. Fourth point. Faith makes a person truly human. It may even make a person a king. Therefore, a person's primary duty is faith and prayer. Unbelief turns a person into a very helpless beast. Now, the claim here is a very big one, because if there is no faith, it turns into a situation where one becomes a poor soul who only thinks they are human. It's a very big claim. That's why we need to understand this part. So what does it mean to be human? There's a problem with this concept in our minds, isn't there? Now, if I plant seeds in a beautiful garden and invite you as guests, I can't say, this is my wonderful flower garden. They're all still in seed form. If our own seeds haven't sprouted and blossomed, we can't be called human either. You understand, right? So the real issue here is the matter of the seed blossoming. Is there a tree inside the seed? There is. Think of whichever fruit you like. A banana tree, a strawberry tree. Look, an apple tree, a pear tree. My mind always goes to that 600-year-old giant plane tree in Bursa. I just can't understand how something like that comes from a single seed. Halis, which tree was your favorite? Redwood. Redwood. How big do they get? Up to 136 meters tall. 36 meters tall. It turns inside itself, man. Gee. Oh my God, oh my God. A radius of 32 meters. Just imagine a tree like that. All from a tiny seed. Is the tree hidden inside the seed? Hidden. Now, those who work with gardens and orchards know about seeds. For example, in our Marash, they used to make bread from seeds that were decades old. If a 60-year-old seed stays in the granary, does it spoil? It doesn't spoil. If I keep the seed in the granary, does anything happen to it? Nothing happens at all. Does it go bad? It doesn't go bad. But what happens? You can't bring out the beauty inside it. Its fruit, its leaves, its scent, its shade. None of these will appear either. When did you take the seed up and plant it in the soil? When that seed meets water. From that moment on, it's done. That seed has two possibilities. Either you will grow and become a tree, or you will rot and become fertilizer. Once that seed has started to sprout, or if it says, put me back in the granary, that's simply not possible. Once water touches you, you have to make a choice. Is that right? That's right. Look now. Otherwise, we wouldn't call it a tree. Before our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, declared his prophethood, look at Hazrat Omar. And then look at Abu Jahl, Amr bin Hisham. Do their technical capacities and characteristics resemble each other? Look similar. That's why our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says, grant me one of the two Omars. Because their leadership abilities, their courage, for example, while many others snuck around and acted hypocritically, Abu Jahl fought sword to sword at Badr. In the end, when he was struck down, our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent Ibn Mas'ud to check on him. Even there he said, "O little man, what a great thing you have climbed upon. I will kill you. If you're going to kill me, do it with my own sword." So there is a characteristic trait here, a trait not usually seen on that side. Isn't that right? So does that side have a high capacity? There is. The seeds are the same. But when our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, declared his prophethood, what happened? Did the water touch them? It did. Omar became Hazrat Omar. He became a quarter of our faith. Abu Jahl became the father of disbelief. He rotted beneath the earth and turned into fertilizer. Isn't that so? Look at it that way. It's incredible. It is the awakening of the seed that makes the tree inside the seed a tree. It is water that awakens the seed. Once the seed falls into the soil and meets water, there are two possibilities. Either you will become a tree or you will rot. This is what I'm explaining. The water of faith turns the human seed into a human tree. Do you understand what I'm saying? Faith is what makes a person truly human. Because it's a sentence that's a bit hard to grasp at first, isn't it? Since we can't quite understand it, let's break it down. The water of faith turns the human seed into a human tree. Look, it's almost unbelievable. Inside the seed, there's a potential so vast it can't be contained beneath the soil, right? There is. Does the farmer plant the seed in the soil just so it stays underground? If the farmer wants the seed to sprout above the ground, then why does he plant it beneath the soil? Because the soil has a special property, the property of refuting the meaning of the substance. It decomposes the material part of the seed. For what purpose? Meaning. By meaning, I mean the program inside it. From that emerges that 600-year-old tree in Bursa. If God wants us to turn away from the world and focus on the hereafter, then why did he place us in the soil of this world? Because the special property of the soil of this world is to dissolve the material aspect of a human being for the sake of their meaning. Isn't that incredible? It's always said, if God already knows, God forbid, he should just put us in heaven or hell. I mean, if God knows that, then surely he also knows why he allowed it, or R.E.D.I.T, right? Why did he cast us into the soil of this world? So that the water of faith can reach the seeds within us and our abilities can become suitable for use in paradise. Come on, let's find someone we know. How old was the youngest child again? 5 years old. Let's take him, enroll him in a university and make him a professor. Even if the place those seeds go is a university, at that age, it won't make him a professor. How subtle, isn't it? So it's not enough for the place I go to just be paradise. The seeds of ability within me that can enjoy paradise also need to sprout. That's why a person should drink the water of faith and break through the shell of the ego and develop the seeds within their soul. Look, this is what we were created for. I'm using a bit of metaphor here, but please don't take it as just figurative, okay? We were truly created for this. And this is what we constantly experience. When you take steps to strengthen your faith and strive to resemble the companions, does the devil interfere? He does. Because its most basic duty is to get water on its seeds. Here's exactly what happens. Imagine 2 seeds underground. Both have been touched by water. One says, I'm going to break through my shell and emerge. The other says, what are you doing? This is our home. Would anyone ever break through their shell? Do you know what he means by shell? Home, work, just die there. Home, work, travel the world, kids and family. Home, work, travel the world, offspring. The other says, what are you doing? What are you doing, O seed? Look, you're going to hurt yourself. Would anyone ever break through their shell? This is the last one. I don't believe what you're saying. I'm tired of this dark soil. Is that possible? I'm tired of it. Our real home is inside this creature. This dark soil. Eat, drink, sleep, eat, drink, sleep. What are you doing? Be careful not to hurt yourself. But what if it stopped listening to the other? And after reaching the water, broke through its shell, emerged above the soil, and transformed into a giant being caressed by the rain and befriended by the sun? Would flowers hang from its branches? Would those beautiful fruits dangle from it like earrings? And do you know what it would say then? It would say, that deceiver under the soil wanted to kill me. Unfortunately, we are surrounded by seeds telling us to stay underground. Unfortunately, this is the end of times. So what will you do? Do you know what the main point here is? Let's ask this question. Everyone watching, listening, everyone here should ask themselves, did the water touch you? That's the question. It did. These lessons are water. What is water? A lesson in faith. Let's go. Now, maybe we used to live like this or that in the past. Well, live or don't live. Allah used some means. Me, him, this, the video, someone else. It doesn't matter. Allah wanted the water to touch you. Did the water touch you? It did. Well then, if the water touched you, why are you still acting all high and mighty? Do we have any other choice? Huh? I mean, do we have any other luxury? Since you have no other luxury. After the water touches you, you will walk towards your perfection. You will find the duty that has been written for you. Or you will become fertilizer under the ground and mix with the soil. Oh Allah, do not make us among those who become fertilizer and mix with the soil of this world. Or Lord, Amen. So how can it be understood that I have grown? Now, if I pour just this much water on a tiny sprouting plant, is that enough for it? It's enough. But if it becomes a big tree, would that same amount still be enough? It's not enough. Do you know how you can tell? You can tell by its appetite. Now, the door opens and a service opportunity appears before us. You look at one person and they attack it as if it's the most important thing in their life because they're going to get water from there. You look at another and they're indifferent, just sitting there. It's a very big sin to remain indifferent. Very indifferent, just sitting there, full and satisfied. If it happens, fine. If it doesn't matter. There's no effort, no aspiration, no struggle at all. Why? Because the capacity is small. If it's tiny, it's enough for them. So now, it's enough. What will you do in the hereafter if you don't awaken these things? It's unbelievable, really. It's a very important issue, really. May Allah save us from becoming mere fertilizer. One day, if the owner of the garden gets angry and comes with an axe to cut down some trees, we have an acquaintance whose trees didn't bear fruit that year in his garden. He gets frustrated about it. Should I cut this apple or this cherry? I mean, that's what he's thinking about. So, does the garden owner sometimes get angry when he doesn't get any fruit? He does. If the garden owner gets angry and comes with an axe to cut down our tree, and just at that moment he sees, oh, there are fruits hanging on this tree. What would he say? He would say, I can't bring myself to cut this one down. That's why we should produce results, win people's hearts, tell them the truth, and raise good people. Let's have projects for service so that the owner of this garden won't want to get rid of us. You just can't bring yourself to cut it down. But if we never bear any fruit, what would the garden owner do? With an axe in his hand, he would make a mark on that cherry tree. The next time, he makes another mark, and on the third, it's not just a mark, he strikes and cuts it down. If we want Allah to have mercy on us, we must always bear fruit. In times when I feel like this, I cling to the Quran, Jawshan, the Risal, prayer, and namaz in my own way, just like everyone else. I say to myself, oh no, I get scared. Thinking, will Allah cast me aside? I say, let me give you some fruit so that it doesn't mince. Do you understand? If he sees fruit on his branches, would he cut it down? He wouldn't, right? So I immediately say, let's bear fruit right away. Now, if you forget yourself and focus on your friend, he'll say, this one is bearing fruit. If you deepen your knowledge and reach out to others, he'll say, look, this one is bearing fruit. If you become troubled by the concerns of service, just one concern is already worth 1,000. I mean, there are 15 acres just sitting there. Everyone's a contractor, everyone's an electrician, everyone's a builder. We're the ones working on it. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm actually very happy. I'm developing my own seeds, but I feel sad about why the person across from me isn't doing the same. I mean, I have a need. Don't you have a need too, my good man? We just don't get it. We have to reach our full potential. We have to develop our own abilities. In a way, everyone is working for their own afterlife. Oh, if only we could understand. When those seeds awaken, a person turns into a garden of paradise. The person next to you sighs. My soul breathed beside this person. I forgot all my troubles with this. Isn't it true we have friends like this? That's why the companions never wanted to leave the presence of our Prophet. Peace and blessings be upon him. What is there? The tuba tree, the garden of paradise. Just as it is filled with the scent of peace, the companions didn't want to leave his side. But there's also the opposite. The more you stay near some people, the more pain they bring to your soul, right? What has awakened in them? A garden of hell. And then there's the zakum tree. My goodness. Our abilities, especially in our youth, are like an apricot pit. Can I just take it, crack it once, and chew it? I can chew it. 2 minutes later, I've forgotten all about it. That is, its existence or non-existence is uncertain. Why? Because you forgot that there's a whole forest lying within that pit. But if I plant it, let it sit in the soil, water it and give it sunlight, it becomes my forest in the hereafter. Our youth is a seed, just like that apricot pit. Think about Hazrat Omar. He was coming to kill our Prophet. Peace and blessings be upon him. But when his seeds met water, they awakened. He becomes Hazrat Omar. A giant plane tree, a quarter of our faith. It's almost unbelievable. So it means our seeds need to awaken and grow. When they awaken, they become something completely different. At one time, some brothers who attended the lessons were still using substances and coming from their old unlawful lifestyles. During those times, they would come and go like that, trying to make sense of things. At the door, an old pilgrim uncle caught them and asked, "Do you perform prayers?" They said, "No, we don't." He replied, well. He asked, "Why don't you pray?" "Doesn't your teacher tell you to pray?" he asked. They said, "No, he doesn't." "How can that be?" He said, "How can it be without prayer and all that?" "Uncle, maybe you shouldn't push so hard right now," they said. These guys are already trying to understand what's going on. And on top of that, right from the start, you're burdening them with the responsibility of prayer. The guy hasn't even figured that part out yet. Later on, as they kept listening to the lessons over and over, the seeds inside them were watered and they woke up. In other words, you could take their life, but not their prayer. That's how much these people turned into lovers of prayer. And now they say, people feel embarrassed. When they realize and discover the blessings that Allah has given, they say, turns out we were living like mushrooms. They say, look at all the blessings Allah has bestowed upon us. They needed to wake up. This is what happens when you wake up. But if you leave it to the ego and the seeds don't awaken, my dear, I really love living a comfortable life. I travel to Antep for soup, to Bursa for meatballs. Isn't that right? A friend said that once. I asked, would you go to the Kaaba for prayer in the same way? So, you would surpass that level of quality, wouldn't you? You travel kilometers for your desires, but not for Allah. Isn't that a shame? This is something I always experience. May Allah not let us go astray, nor anyone else. Maybe we have no right to say certain things, but I just can't help myself. Recently, we went to a nice green place for breakfast. Turns out the brother there also watches the videos. He said, I watch like this, I watch like that, I want it from below, I want it from above. I said, well, if you're watching, do you think we have time for that? Aren't you ashamed? I mean, to say something like that to Allah, the Almighty. By the way, it's not necessary for you to come there, but you have to sell your talents at a marketplace. Is that it? Go somewhere upright. Wherever that is, just go to a place where there is no gossip, no backbiting, no slander, none of that. Go somewhere upright. I mean, aren't you ashamed? We didn't come here to work? That's someone else's duty. I just said it in the lesson a moment ago. I don't mean this as an insult. Working day and night. That's the job of animals or of unbelievers and the wretched. That's not our duty. Our duty is to perfect ourselves through knowledge and prayer. What an incredible lesson this is. Because when a person goes out to eat or to travel, they don't just take their stomach with them, right? If I only took my stomach to Antep, there would be no problem. I'm taking my soul with me, right? I'm taking my mind, my heart. Look, you're bringing along the commanders. You've gathered the whole neighborhood. Where did you go? To eat meatballs. May that meatball fall on your head? This is how life passes by, and we're dying, you know? We're dying. The other day I opened it up. A 38-year-old had a heart attack on the soccer field and passed away. Of course, I don't know him. May God have mercy on him. Who goes to play soccer thinking, I'm going to die soon? We're going to die, you know? Before these seeds are even opened from the packet, what do you think you're going to get? Honestly, it's unbelievable. Choose the horse's barley with care, but neglect the master. And then be proud of it. I feed the horse very well. Soup in Antep, meatballs in Bursa, I feed the horse very well. Master, this is what is meant by knowledge and prayer. We don't know. We're not even aware of it. This was the most important part of the lesson, because the matter of faith makes a person truly human is a subject dependent on the awakening of the seed. That's what I wanted to explain. I wonder if it was understood. Then I've divided this lesson into 5 parts as well. Let's move on to the second part. Among the thousands of proofs of this matter, the differences between how animals and humans come into the world are a clear proof and a decisive argument for this issue. Look, this is a very striking approach, very striking. You are asking, what is the duty of a human being? As an answer, it is suggested that we look at what the duty of an animal is, so that we can understand the differences. Isn't that strange? Right now, aren't the greatest proofs in the universe humans, animals, and plants? Mostly these. I mean, isn't this a very original approach? What is the duty of a human being? You say, let's put it on the table. And this is the answer you get. Wait, let's take a look at the creatures. Let's understand the duty of a human from there. We looked, so did you understand? I understood. All beings have been sent perfectly, right? Don't forget the example of the bee. Are they all perfect? Perfect. Is it the same for humans? No. Oh, what do you expect from me, O Lord? Perfection. You will reach maturity. Well then, O Lord, how can I reach maturity? With faith and prayer. An incredibly striking approach. Yes, please go ahead. Yes, that humanity is truly humanity through faith. We understood this from the seed example, right? Yes. It shows the differences between how humans and animals come into the world. Because when an animal is born, it arrives as if it has already matured in another realm, coming into the world perfectly according to its potential. In other words, they are sent. Now, tiny animals start walking as soon as they are born, right? A bee opens its eyes. Does it know which flower to go to? It does. Does a tiny ant know what to eat? It does. Did you know what to eat when you were little? I mean, if our mother didn't stand over us with mercy, right? Just look at that helplessness, but look at the perfection in them. An ant's offspring is perfect. A bee's offspring is perfect. They just need to develop. There must be a reason for these wounds to open. Yes, in either 2 hours, 2 days, or 2 months, it knows all the necessities of life and its relationship with the universe. Look now, does it know all its relationships in the universe? This is really strange. Does a gazelle know what an enemy is just a short while after it's born? I mean, you're just a baby. What is an enemy? What isn't an enemy? How do you know? You look at another baby animal, whether it's a baby elephant or a baby rabbit. Do they know what to eat and what not to eat? But most of the time, when our child is already several years old, we still have to take things from their hands, saying, "Can you eat this?" Either they were sent perfectly. But I was sent into the world in need of development. Honestly, if I could, I'd applaud you privately. But this lesson is just so perfect. What kind of lesson is this? This lesson really surprised me. And he learns the laws of life. That is, the rules necessary for his own life. He gains mastery. Now, what does mastery mean in a task? It means to become skilled. They've analyzed this. They say that if a person works for about 10,000 hours in their field, they become an expert. If you told this to a bee, honestly, the bee would say, "Brother, we don't even live that long, right?" People retire, don't they, after they become skilled. Now, does a chicken ever lay a beginner's egg? Not even once? No, never. So for them, it's become second nature. We tried it out once. We set up a small chicken coop in the garden with Halis. But we didn't really know what we were doing. After I learned that, I felt like I'd aged another year. We even got a special chicken, the one that laid blue eggs. Do you remember? Later, we realized we had built the coop on top of concrete. Because of the dirt and the smell, we spent 2 hours every day cleaning up. Anyway, every day, even down to the shade of blue. How did you manage to get it just right? It's unbelievable. So, is making honey a second nature for bees? As soon as they start working, they're already first-class workers. Gee, we can't even send a 10-year-old kid to buy bread. I mean, all animals, all creatures have joined the ranks of the skilled. The only one who ended up in the rookie ranks is me. Where I thought I was skilled is somewhere else entirely. Look, there's another proof of this. Are all animals, all creatures happy in this world? Happy. Just look at the sparrow. It doesn't care about anything. If I die, the sorrows of the past and the worries of the future never leave me alone. If all creatures are happy in this world, it's clear that they were sent here for this world. If I can never be happy in this world, then clearly this place, which I thought was my home, is not actually where I truly belong. Go ahead, Hassan. The vital power and practical skills that a human acquires in 20 years, a sparrow or a bee gains in just 20 days. We just covered this part, didn't we? In just 20 days, that is? Gee. All right, we get it. There's a difference between humans and animals. Did he explain this? He did. So, what am I supposed to learn from these differences? I've moved on to the third section. So, the animal's primary duty is not to perfect itself through learning. In other words, the animal doesn't have a duty like, let me acquire knowledge and develop myself. Let me make myself perfect. Remember the horse. We went to Andalusia. The horse says, well, I don't know, maybe I'll take up swimming instead of running. If animals had such a duty, the world would be thrown into chaos. Animals simply don't have such a duty. Yes. And it is not about progressing by acquiring knowledge. In other words, let me improve myself a bit more in advance. Such a duty, that doesn't exist either. Does the cow ever say, it's time to give you chocolate milk now? Does the bee ever say, how long will I keep making honey? Let me make you some jam for a change. Such progress is their duty. Why not? They were sent as perfect beings. Yes? And by showing their weakness, seeking help, praying. This is incredible. Do animals ask for help? No. Do they pray? No. These are not their duties. Look now. Humans did not come to this world to work in a perfectly ordered system like bees. They came to learn knowledge and to contemplate. How do we know this? God did not create animals in a way that they would ask or pray. In other words, since he did not expect prayer from animals, he did not create them as needy. What is the proof of this? Completeness. So, are animals complete within the scope of their own needs, whether underground or at the bottom of the sea? They are complete within the scope of their own needs. Why did you create them like this, O Lord? Because I do not expect prayer from them. So, what about humans? They are wounded, incomplete, sick. There is constant blockage. There is constant depression. Why? So that they may know their weakness, know their ignorance, and so that prayer may be triggered. Prayer is such an important matter for us. These are very subtle issues. Please pay attention. Go ahead. Perhaps its duty is to endure according to its capacity. In other words, to act. To act. It is practical servitude. The earlier examples of the bee and the chicken demonstrated this. Now I am moving on to the fourth section. Yes. As for humans, when they come into the world, they are in need of learning everything and are ignorant of the laws of life. In fact, even in 20 years, one cannot fully learn the conditions of life. Even at the age of 50, we still cannot learn them. Yes, perhaps one needs to keep learning until the end of their life. My goodness, yes. Moreover, humans are sent into the world in a very weak and helpless state and can only manage to stand up after 1 or 2 years. Now you are strong. Think about your infancy. We couldn't stand up. We were always in need of help. So there is a deeper meaning to this. Oh Lord, why did you create us like this? Knowledge and prayer, these are very important matters. Yes, it is only after 15 years that one can distinguish between harm and benefit. This is where jurisprudence comes into play. That's why we are held accountable after the age of 15. Because until the age of 15, we still can't grasp what's going on. Look at a baby gazelle. In 15 days, it can run away from a lion. Look at a duckling. It goes into the water in just 15 minutes. We cannot understand the event until 15. Where am I? Why did I come? Why was I sent? That's why no sins are recorded until the age of 15. Yes, with the help of human life, Movenet means help. Only with help can one attract benefits and avoid harm. Look, only with assistance, meaning I am so much in need of help in this regard, starting from childhood. Today, put a human child together with the young of 2 or 3 other creatures in the forest. A baby monkey, a kitten, a baby rabbit. Which one would fail to survive first? The human child. We are that helpless? The others figure everything out within a few minutes. So my purpose is not to work on a task day and night like a bee or a rabbit. Please pay attention. I absolutely do not mean this as an insult. That is not the duty of a human being. Animals are created in that respect, just to do a specific task. And in that respect, unbelievers and the miserable ones who imitate them are also created. That is not my duty. I am obliged to learn through knowledge and to turn it into prayer. It's an incredible matter. Go ahead. So it means that the innate duty of a human is to perfect oneself through learning. To become perfected by learning knowledge, in other words, to become the way Allah expects me to be, it is worship through prayer. Look at these sentences. By whose mercy am I being managed so wisely? My goodness, it's unbelievable. I mean, sure, someone weighed and brought a kilo of oranges, but who created it? My friend. Who put the cloud here? Yes. By whose generosity am I being nurtured so compassionately? How he disciplines me with such kindness, guiding me to where I need to be. By whose favors is this happening? Look, our prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, understood this. Do you remember what he said? My Lord raised me, and how beautifully he raised me, he said. That's exactly what this is about. Yes. By whose grace am I being so delicately nourished and cared for? Would an animal ever contemplate these things? But if a human fails to recognize the one who bestows these gifts, wouldn't that be strange? It would indeed be strange. Who is it that sends rain pouring down upon me? Who is it that brings forth olives from the branch? Who is it that gives me a baby from a mere drop? Who would ever give their baby to someone else? So who is it that gives one to me for no reason at all? I mean, is it possible for a baby to be gifted from a drop? This is an immense greatness, an indescribable greatness. There is no one on earth who can do this. Who is it that controls my body? Who operates my digestive system? Some die immediately while others live long lives. Recently, we did an interview in Batman with a respectable old man. He was 136 years old. How many sugars was he putting in his tea? 8. Apparently, our uncle might even be using some tobacco as well, but he's 136 years old. Then you look at someone else. He brings honey from who knows where, walnuts from somewhere else. Dies of a heart attack in bed. I mean, it's very interesting. Why? Who is it that creates one person this way and another that way? When you question these things, you get some very strange answers. Yes. And out of 1,000, only one's needs are not met. Qadiyul Hajat. Qadiyul Hajat is the one who provides and fulfills all needs and necessities. Yes. It is to beg, to ask, and to pray with the language of helplessness and poverty. In other words, it is to soar to the highest station of servitude with the wings of helplessness and poverty. Now, servitude is a very important matter. So you will always go to the dervish lodge, right? Is this the main point for us? Always go to the divine presence. This is a serious matter, servitude. Here, the wounds of helplessness and poverty are what provide this motivation. Let me remind you of the main topic at the beginning. Why am I ignorant? Why am I helpless? I mean, we didn't see these in the bee. We didn't see these in the cow. We didn't see these in other creatures. But in me, it's very obvious. My enemies never end. My problems never end. My troubles never end. The things I have to struggle with never end. Especially if your troubles have grown a bit. I mean, if to some extent that, as much as possible, I mean, it keeps me up at night. I mean, what will become of this ummah with so many of us? How is it that we can't do something good? It's like my brain is about to melt. I keep saying, my God, how is this going to work out? At times like this, you have no other option but to seek refuge in God's presence. That's the real purpose, isn't it? Come to my presence, right? This purpose doesn't exist in between. This purpose doesn't exist in a cow, but we have this purpose. That's why the wounds of weakness and poverty give us this motivation. No matter what you do, you hit a wall in life, right? You think you're at the peak of your power, and suddenly you see your child has been taken from you. A wound opens up. I mean, is there anything beyond that? We can't even bear this now. Our hearts are as fragile as a bird's. The real purpose here is that you need to constantly turn towards my presence.
You can't handle any of these things on your own.
You go into the forest and 5 Kangals attack you. Should we try to talk to the Kangals? No, you really have only one chance, and that's to find the shepherd. If you find the shepherd and can present your helplessness and poverty at his door, with a single whistle, he will take them all away from you. With a single whistle. Allah, 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 Allah. Look, one day someone said, "You teacher, can't Allah prevent the devil?" He said, let it be so that he doesn't attack us, because his intention is clear. He wants to have us thrown into hell. He says, can't Allah prevent the devil? I said, he could. In fact, if he wanted, he wouldn't have created the devil at all. But I said, it is Allah himself who sets the devil upon us. Allah, Allah. He asked, why? He said, doesn't he love us? He said, now if someone sets shepherd dogs on me, it's obvious that person doesn't love me. Allah, Allah. It's not because of that, but because he loves you even more. Just because he loves himself. So that you would run to the divine presence to escape his evil. Allah, Allah. You haven't come for a long time. You need to come to the divine presence. He sent you an agent, and that agent turned out to be the devil. Do you understand now why he was set upon us? Very interesting. And it's absolutely impossible for a person to deal with this alone. You are compelled to seek refuge in the divine presence. This is an incredible state. In other words, to understand this state, one needs to have a heightened sense of motherly compassion. A mother's compassion sometimes caresses a mischievous child with a slap of affection. But the child who receives the slap still turns back and seeks refuge in his mother's compassionate embrace. If our share in compassion increased, we would understand the situation more clearly. Allah loves us so much deep within our hearts that He creates all the reasons around us in those directions so that we do not turn to anyone but Him. And to help us understand this, He surrounds us with the wounds of incapacity and poverty as 2 forms of motivation. This is mentioned in a part of the Kuliya. There is also a naqs. Let's not forget that. Deficiency, imperfection, the flaws within us, the deficiencies we have. Why do these exist? So that we do not run to any other sanctuary. Yes. So human beings have come to this world to mature through knowledge and prayer. Allah, Allah, that's incredible. We are moving on to the 5th section. In terms of essence and potential, everything depends on knowledge. Essence means the place of things in divine knowledge. When it is created, it turns from essence into reality. Yes. And the foundation, source, light, and spirit of all true sciences is the knowledge of Allah.
And as its fundamental basis is faith in Allah. Moreover, man, with his infinite weakness, is exposed to endless calamities and afflicted by the attacks of countless enemies. And along with his boundless poverty, I am already powerless. On top of that, endless misfortunes keep coming. And countless enemies. Countless foes also come. He is afflicted by their attacks. And along with his boundless poverty, he is entangled in endless needs. In other words, I am both poor and have so many needs. And because he is in need of countless desires, his primary innate duty after faith is prayer. This sentence is very important. It is one of the most important topics of today. He didn't say faith and prayer. What did he say? He said prayer after faith.
Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my.
What does that even mean? Now look, I need to explain this matter of calamities. You have a machine in your hand and you don't know what it's for. What do? You put it on the table and examine it. Shall we put this human machine on the table?
Let's put it on the table.
Yunus, shall we put it on the table?
Put it on the table.
You're already lying down anyway. We already have someone lying here, ready at hand. Let's lay this human machine on the table and examine it. Look, he created me helpless and surrounded me with calamities. Think about the troubles in your own factory. Let me make you cry a little. Let me make you feel sorrowful. Why did Allah the Almighty do this? Did Allah do this so that my life would become a prison? So, oh Lord, you create me helpless, and then you keep sending enemies and calamities upon me. Did you create me just to make my life a living hell? Is that what this is all about? Because you say that I am the one you value the most. Something seems off. I am the one you value the most, and yet I am the one you created the most helpless. And on top of that, Allah, the Almighty, sends calamities and enemies. Oh Lord, I don't have the strength to deal with all this. With my helplessness, it's impossible for me to cope with so many enemies and calamities. It's just not possible. Look, let me give you a few examples of calamities. Drought, for example. Our farmer friends know it becomes a calamity, right, Osman? It does. Come on, let's all gather together and try to deal with it. Let's go and threaten the cloud. Let's even shoot at it a couple of times. After all, in Adana, they shoot at the sun. So let's shoot at the cloud too. Did it work? No, you have no power at all. Earthquake. May Allah protect this country and its people, God willing. Come on, let's try to deal with it. Let's drive stakes everywhere. It's impossible. Tsunami. In Japan, they built a breakwater as tall as a skyscraper. The tsunami destroyed even that, turned it into cotton, and swept it away. So, there are so many troubles we face, and we can't deal with any of them. Now, why am I like this? Look, my needs never end, my wounds never heal, my hunger is never satisfied, my enemies never disappear. It means that humans were created to cry, to complain, to ask for something. It's very obvious. It's very obvious. Isn't that right? These are arguments that provoke prayer, which is our essential duty. Very important. So the reason you were created for prayer after knowledge, and the reason you were created with weakness and poverty, is so that you would always, with tears and complaints, ask for something from His presence through prayer. Very important. And now this next point is extremely, extremely important. What does prayer mean after faith? Why did he say prayer after faith instead of faith and prayer? Because faith and prayer are directly proportional without faith being established. Without feeling one's own helplessness, there is no prayer. If we were to ask, who is the one with the strongest faith? It would be the one who prays the most. Look at our Prophet. Peace and blessings be upon him. He would pray even when taking a step. Think about this theoretically. We, even know the prayers for entering and leaving the restroom. Do we know what prayer to say when we sleep? Or what prayer to say before eating? This is the highest level of servitude. To pray at every step. So why can't we pray like this? If the Imam extends the prayer after Salah by even a minute, we make a fuss. Why are we like this? Because we handle our own affairs ourselves and do not feel the need for Allah. One day I realized this while praying. I pray for this. I don't pray for that. I ask myself, why do I pray for this? Because I haven't received it yet. Why don't I pray for that? Because when I get those things, I think they come from myself. Oh no, I said. Oh no, really? Oh Lord, whether you give or not, it's all the same to me. But that's the prayer of those who feel self-sufficient. It's one of the greatest sins. Go ahead, Hassan. Prayer, in essence, is servitude. Just as a child, when he can't reach something he wants, either cries or asks for it. Who is this child? It's us. No matter how charismatic we try to appear, it's not enough. Our hands are marked by the wounds of helplessness, the wounds of poverty, enemies, needs. My goodness. Yes. So whether through actions or words, With the language of helplessness, one prays and attains what is sought. In the same way, among all living beings, man is like a delicate, pampered, and spoiled child. In the presence of the all-merciful, the most compassionate, one must but either cry out of weakness and helplessness or pray out of poverty and need. These, then, are our aims at the end of the lesson. Yes, so that his goals may be made subservient to him, or so that he may offer thanks for what has been made subservient to him. Otherwise, to fall into ingratitude for blessings by claiming, like a foolish and mischievous child who cries out because of a fly, with my own strength, I subjugate these wondrous things that cannot be made subservient, and are 1,000 times stronger than me, and I make them obey me with my intellect and planning, is not only contrary to the true nature of humanity, but also makes one deserving of severe punishment. Oh my Lord, we are like spoiled children. We have many wounds, many enemies, and many needs. We have sought refuge at your threshold. Please do not turn us away.
Show us your grace by keeping you, Tezdant, us steadfast on that straight path, with knowledge and prayer continuously and unwaveringly, until our last breath.
I beg you, do not let these seeds of ours rot and decay, mixed with the soil beneath the ground. We have sought refuge in you. With our weakness and poverty, we have come to your threshold. Please do not cast us away from your presence. Glory be to you. We have no knowledge except what you taught us. Indeed, you are all-knowing, all-wise. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds. Al-Fatiha, Salawat. A very important lesson. Time was created for these things. You understand, don't you? For knowledge, for prayer. So we need to appreciate its value.